Hey, Ryan Carver here, talking about how to prepare for training the uphill athletes, particularly whether you're a hiker, snowshoeing, downhill skiing. Oftentimes what we hear a lot is from clients and other people that they feel good going up, but oh man, coming down really hurts your knees. And they're like, oh, it might be arthritis. You know, it could be, but more often than not, it's probably you're not training appropriately to be able to descend. So let's do a little backup and help explain a few things. There are three types of muscle contractions. You have an isometric contraction where there's force in the muscle, but the muscle length isn't changing. Like if I were trying to push against a wall, I'm exerting force, but the muscles aren't lengthening or shortening. That's an isometric contraction. Next, we have a concentric contraction, where if you contract, it gets shorter. So if I flex my arm, the bicep, it shortens, and you can see that. So that's a concentric muscle contraction. Most of the training that everybody does focuses on the concentric. The third type is what's called eccentric. This is where there's force being applied, usually at a greater force than the muscle can handle, and instead of the muscle shortening, it's lengthening. Think about it like some Velcro. So we've got some Velcro here. So every time you go down a mountain or take a step or work eccentrically, this is essentially what's happening to your muscle. It's a ripping sensation. They're very strong. You're very strong eccentrically, more so than concentrically, because it's like that hook system, like Velcro, and to really, you have to put a lot more force to separate them. That's what happens eccentrically. And this is why walking up the mountain doesn't hurt. It's what's coming when you come down the mountain. That's what's really hurting and making you sore the next day. And if you want to not be sore when you're hiking, doing whatever in the mountains, you've got to train appropriately. So there's a couple options. You can do what most people call doing negatives, which is actually, it's not a negative. It's what we would call time under tension, where you would do a slow squat down and then something like fast up, where you're slowly going into that eccentric motion or eccentric part of the work. But the problem is, you're just taking more time to do it, therefore emphasizing the lowering. It's a hack. It's not a great way to train eccentrically. To really train eccentrically, you've got to invoke a few options. One would be a specific flywheel, where there's more resistance pulling down as opposed to when you come up. That lowering phase is the eccentric phase. There's a couple of things on the market, but most gyms don't have that, unless it's a great one. Another option is what we call weight releasers. They're these devices that you put on the end of the barbell, and you can load it up heavier, and as you lower, once you get to the bottom, they flip off the bar, and then you can raise it up higher. Because here's the thing, because we are stronger eccentrically, there's a limit. You can't go up with the same load that you can come down. So the weight releasers helps fix that. If you can only squat, for example, 100 pounds, that's 100 pounds coming up, but you can do more going down. So you can load it up to like 150. With the weight releasers, once you hit the bottom, they pop off, you can come up. It's a great way to train. However, most people, once again, don't have weight releasers. So here's what you can do in any facility to help you train for descending so you don't have leg and knee pain. It's what's called the Berna protocol. Don't have to remember that. I like to call it 2 up, 1 down. So we already know that eccentric is that lowering phase, and that we're stronger eccentrically than we are concentrically. So an easy way to do it, we'll just use a cable here. You're going to use 2 arms to press up, and then 1 arm to come down. So I'm using both arms and then slowly controlling. So I probably couldn't push this out if I didn't use both arms like that. Now, what does that have to do with skiing? I mean, you could use your chest, but not much. You're probably going to you're more interested in a leg exercise. So great leg exercise, pull up a chair, any type of chair. And as you stand in front of the chair, you're going to pick one leg up. You don't have to have it too high, just barely off the ground, and slowly lower down until you touch, and then step up with two. So most of the time, you're not strong enough to do a single leg squat. So this is where you're using one leg to help control that descent. We don't want to drop, but then we're using two legs to help us come up. If you can do a single leg squat, great for you. You can just add some weight. This is a great way to add in that eccentric load so that you're better prepared for ski season, for hiking season, whatever expedition you're working on. Make sure this is part of your program. You don't need a lot of eccentric work to see a huge benefit. For more questions, give us a call.